All right. Hello and welcome. I am so delighted to have this opportunity with a wise woman that I have great respect and admiration for, to share her wisdom with you and to give you a little glimpse into what she has cooking. And so Lily Sandlin is joining me today, and we are going to have a conversation about how, in part, how we take that breadth and depth of wisdom that we have gathered over the years, and this is something I've been supporting Lily around, to distilling it and bringing into, like, what's the next right form of the gift that we're here to offer. And so I want to welcome you, Lily.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Yes. See, I think for this intro, I'm going to keep the two of us on screen, and then as we're talking, just so that folks can see both of us at the same time. So again, I just want to honor and acknowledge you and really all your presence and all that you bring to the world. And I would love it if you could just share with those who are listening, what are the realms, what are the worlds that your wisdom and experience come from?
I have been in the holistic health field for about 34 years, since 1987 when I became a massage therapist. And it was a progression from there, just listening to the guidance for my next step. I became a yoga teacher. I went back to acupuncture school. I've practiced Eastern medicine for 20 years. And I believe that each of my patients are my teachers. So I've learned a huge amount in the clinical setting, and I have been mentored over the years through many spiritual studies, many teachers, including you, many others on different paths that all made sense to me at the time. And I gained some wisdom from each of them, and they come together in my heart so that I can share with each person what makes sense at the moment for them. And I've been nurturing intuitive gifts that were evident in my childhood. So I actually have done intuitive readings for people for years, mostly friends. And then when I'm with a patient in clinic, it comes through and I'm guided to read their bodies, get messages from their chakras. And I know then how to treat them. And I'm in the place of opening up to share this wisdom with more people who undoubtedly could benefit. And I don't need to be in person with them to get messages from not only their physical, but their energetic bodies about what they might shift in their wellness. So I'm synthesizing my experience in the wellness field and Eastern medicine and yoga and more with my intuition. And it's now time to share my voice. To open up and say, this is what I do. I am an intuitive. I offer intuitive readings, and I combine it with these other skills and gifts.
Yes, and I'm curious what it is that you see, whether it's in your patients or your friends or whomever it is that naturally reaches out to you. Like, what is it that you're seeing, either that they're struggling with or challenges that you are seeing, like, here is a way that we can address this, or this is something that I can bring or offer that, you know, that will help alleviate their situation?
Well, I'm filled with information about self-care. So if someone starts to talk about a concern, I can make suggestions, many suggestions that they can try over time. For example, someone with insomnia, I can suggest, I'm familiar with so many modalities, having been in the field for so long and having had the opportunity to try so many things and be mentored in many things. And I do a lot of modalities myself. So I have a large tool chest to pull from.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can draw, I can hear from them what's underneath, what is at the root
Mhm.
of their concern at the moment. It becomes clear through things that they say and things that they don't say,
Mm.
through their energy body that is speaking sometimes more loudly than their actual voice, through their expressions and gestures. There's just so many ways that the messages come through.
Yes, and I'm curious how the yoga and the Eastern medicine work, like how they interweave together, or what, how do those two lenses impact what you're able to see?
Well, for one thing, if someone has, for example, a pain somewhere in their body, which most people do at one time or the other, it helps me know where to look
Hmm.
and to suggest to them. If they mention something and they're doing things that aren't working, it might be that they haven't gone to the right place. And it might be for example, a piriformis muscle pain that would unlock everything for them. And maybe they're not ready to do a full pigeon pose or something, but they might lay on a tennis ball
Hmm.
and slowly learn to lower their weight onto it and slowly get some release that way, and then get some relief. So I can just hear sources and origins.
Hmm.
I can hear the root, which in a clinical setting, I don't always share because people aren't asking for that. But in this kind of setting, by the time they've gotten to me here, they are ready. They're ready for more. They're ready to hear some things and take their wellness a quantum step.
Mm. So it sounds like what you're offering is an intuitive wellness reading, and it's really for someone who wants to get to the root.
Yes, and who wants an edge
Mm.
with their wellness. There might be something that they haven't thought about.
Mhm.
They might have heard about but haven't tried.
Mm.
And there's so many things, maybe it's putting magnesium oil on their feet at night, or whatever it is, these simple things I can just hear,
Mhm.
and then I can draw from this treasure chest of ideas and say, well, maybe you thought about that. And a lot of times they'll say, oh, no, yeah, but it could really work for them, and it often does. And it's informed by, like I said, the combination of not only clinical experience but also intuition.
Yes, yes, yes. You're able to tune in and receive. And maybe you can even give us an example of either a time that that has shown up in your work with someone, or yes.
Recently, there's one actually,
Uh-huh.
uh, a client who was having plantar fasciitis, foot pain, inflammation of the tendon sheath, and had been to a podiatrist and was not comfortable with the suggestions.
Mhm.
So I just went into that place of seeing and knowing, and suggested that she place her hands on her calf. And I suggested where some trigger points are that correlate to
Mhm.
this kind of situation. And she was able to find them.
Mm.
And once we both got quiet and were breathing together, and she was placing her own magical hands on her calf, she said that she felt warmth
Mm.
surge into her heel.
Mm.
So she was releasing some spots, and it was going right to the place that's in pain.
Wow. Wow.
So it's a huge kind of self-care. And those are the kinds of things that I give people. Now, naturally, they may still want to see local practitioners, but I can suggest a myriad of things that they can do for
Mhm.
self-care, this high-level wellness. And I also teach something called a body listening,
Mhm.
which helps people tune in
Mm.
to their inner knowing.
Wow, that seems like that would be a huge support for many people, to really be able to listen and perhaps partner with the body in in a stronger way, a better way.
Yes. And it's a humble invitation for something to shift,
Mm,
humbly inviting them to allow some change, some shift,
mm.
getting to the root, what's underneath it. And I'm not a therapist, of course, so it's not like that, but this is body mind medicine, mind,
Mm,
body, spirit medicine. And I can make suggestions for yoga breathing or poses
mm.
and acupuncture point, acupressure points they can do on themselves and much more.
So I like that term. Can you tell me what you mean by that body mind medicine, or I know you work with energy as well. It's like body mind
Yes. Yeah,
energy.
mine.
So what that means to you, to maybe for somebody if they don't know what that means or what that looks like.
Yeah, mind, body, spirit medicine. Well, the Eastern medicine that I practice is that.
Hmm.
And it's not just about, their knee pain. It's
Uh-huh.
oftentimes about something else, for example, and they often say what it's about. They
Oh.
will say things that I hear between the lines, and this is where the intuition comes in, whether or not I share it. Perhaps they've been feeling unsupported in some area of their life.
Hmm.
And so, without getting outside my scope of practice, I can invite them to find some clarity around what's underneath it. And then I can suggest a lot of self-care tools. And again, back to your question about the mind, body, spirit, it's never just to me, oh, it's, this structure, it's this vertebrae or this muscle. It's always so much more. And a lot of times I think the healing comes through when people tune into that place, when they can get quiet enough to find that place within themselves where their truth can come to the surface. And I help guide them there
Mm.
with these intuitive readings and with bringing in elements from yoga and other things from my background. And together, we can get to a place where they feel really empowered
Mm.
with their wellness, with additional tools.
And how long are the sessions? How do you hold this? How do you conduct them if someone is not in your area? Can you tell us about all that?
Yes, it's a 1 hour to start. It could be longer if they're wishing for more and we can agree at a frequency that makes sense. So much information comes through. And I also do distant healing because I'm a Reiki master. I've done that for a long time, was trained by a mentor years ago while in acupuncture school. So if a person is wanting that as a part of the session,
Mhm.
we could do that. I could add that if they want to simply talk about wellness, well, that's how do you even do that? That's fine. But if they want something more like an intuitive reading, if they want to name that, have it be more blended, that's very possible. It's best, I believe, if it's like this, so I can see them. Telephone work is also possible.
Mhm. So you're saying Zoom, you have the
Because
capacity to do it on Zoom, and it sounds like you could do a freestanding reading as well as, or, consult, as well as if a few or a series of sessions would be beneficial, that you can do that as well.
yes, and generally they are blended.
Okay. What do you mean by they are blended? Do
The
you mean,
sessions are generally incorporating both the intuitive and the wellness because I can't turn it off for one thing.
right? That's
So if in this type of situation, because it is clear and because clients are here specifically for the purpose, sometimes people in clinic will say, are you getting anything? Are you picking anything up? Friends have asked me that on the phone for years. Is there something you can read from my body? Is your, what do you pick up? Well, if they're giving permission in this kind of setting, there's a freedom to say, I'm sensing something about your solar plexus, for example, to pull something out of the air. Uh, someone asked me this in clinic the other day because she sensed there are some people I see in person who can sense that there's more going on than putting in some tiny little pins. And not that that isn't powerful, but that there's, other layers. But, I was just gifting her with the idea that there was, without going into a full blown reading, about some power struggle with her spouse.
Mm,
And we didn't go further, but I could see by her expression that there's a sense of resonance that happens.
mhm.
And it's been happening for years. And I will share at this moment that very often I have been in a conversation with a friend, I probably 15 times where this has happened, which got me to you to finally name this and own it and share it. That I'll just rattle something off that's coming through, and they'll say, "Oh, a psychic just told me that a couple weeks ago." So, I'm finally at the point where I can say, yes, I have confidence that I am a vessel that's being spoken through, and that this information that comes through so very often, and really clinically for years, people have said that resonates.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm feeling inclined to ask about some of your spiritual experience, training. I don't mean training in like the traditional sense, but I know you've had a very varied exposure to a lot of
Yes.
traditions, and that kind of influenced
Shaped.
your work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And briefly here, I have mentored with an intuitive, an amazing, powerful woman. Gosh, since I was in my early 30s or something, over 25 years, I don't know. And she has mentored me in a myriad of energy healing practices for myself and others, tools to
Mhm.
use. And she is a shaman. She's under the radar. I would call her a medical intuitive, although she doesn't put that out.
Mhm.
But absolutely, that has been a huge part of my mentoring with her. And I've studied off and on for 5 years with a swami, an initiated swami, and did puja. And he is all about clearing karma and accelerating karma and helping you move through things. And I will say that I won't go into it deeply, but during that time I was with him were some of the most difficult years of my life. However, the clearing must have been, was quite profound. And I've not dabbled, but I have practiced different types of Buddhist meditation
Mhm.
over many, many years, and uh, forms of mantra and on, and with other energy healers who have initiated me in different forms of healing. And besides the Reiki, just it's broader. It would have to do a whole hour on that.
Right. We could do a geographical tour around the world with the various places you've been. Yes.
Travels and so forth to the sacred sites, world sacred sites, and yes.
So just to give us a taste of where you've been or where you've studied over the years.
Briefly, my one of my first huge trips was in my late 20s. I got to go to Nepal,
Mm,
and that was a huge awakening time to be in the temples. It's both Hindu and Buddhist and just being in a place that sacred, and the taras are there, and just so many. And I watched a cremation, which I'm sure I didn't mention, but I am down at the river, a traditional cremation. I'm a death midwife. I'm certified in that because I've been through many losses myself, and it felt like a step on my path to
mhm.
get trained and become a death doula, death midwife. I also do hospice acupuncture. So back to the travels, I've been in Tulum, Mexico, to some sacred pyramids there, and the Costa Rican jungle, and sacred sites in the UK, off the coast of northern Scotland, standing stones, and other places in the UK that are the Stonehenge, on and on. I've been gifted to
Mm,
travel to some of these places as a person who's interested in cultural anthropology and cross-cultural traditions and healing. It's been a true gift.
And are there ways in which that diversity of spiritual exposure and experience, do you feel like there's a way that that just kind of supports you or imbues you with something?
Absolutely, because I consider myself very ecumenical. And when I'm sitting with a person who is very steeped in Buddhist meditation, for example, I
Mhm,
recently had one in clinic. That's their path. And
mhm.
because I've been a person who was called to so many paths, I find overlap in all of them. For one, there are many common threads and many truths that are the same in so many traditions. So that's been interesting to see and to refine my own beliefs through experiencing such a multitude. But it does help when I'm also a Wiccan priestess. I can't even remember it all because it's been a lot. But it was my choice in this life to have varied experiences. But it does help because I can be in step and resonate because I have deep reverence for each one of those traditions, and so can really honor each person where they're coming from.
And I know there's two things I want to ask you about. One is I know that you have a lot of wisdom and experience around kind of the menopausal transition.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So maybe even for people who are in the peri phase or kind of looking to that or even crossing through that threshold, that that's something you have a lot of wisdom and
Yes.
experience.
Yes. My own journey, I won't go into, but it was so intense. I'll cry if I talk about it. My father died during it, and there were many other losses. But I do know a lot about the Eastern medicine aspects of it and the changes that occur within a woman's psycho-emotional spiritual being at that time, that very significant time. And I know about yoga that's, I'm going to tear up, and that's okay. Um, Yoga that can be used to help, nutritional things that can be changed, and just about the actual passage and how it is a little, it's a death, not little, but it is one of the deaths that we experience in our lifetimes. And I can midwife people through that process by helping them have compassion for themselves and helping them to understand the changes and to embrace them, plus all the tools, the many, many tools that women can use for self-care on every level of their beings.
Hmm. Ah, yes. So thank you. We had to do a brief pause because I had major distraction out my window. But yeah, so you have such, as I've said, a breadth and depth of wisdom. And I know one of the things that so many people, because you used to live here in our area and you were an infamous yin yoga teacher. I mean, truly, everyone would talk about you need to do yin with Lily. Is that I know when you're teaching, this powerful transmission comes through. And so I'm going to kind of put you on the spot, but I'm wondering if you would just kind of take us into a brief little meditation, or just imagine that we're in the yoga studio together, and just tune in because I trust your inner wisdom immensely, and just see, like, for those that are present and listening to this, like what is a gift or a piece that you can bring through.
Well, I could share a brief moment of meditation,
Mhm.
just asking every woman, every person that is here to look into your heart. And at this moment, I'm seeing an image of heart space, the heart chakra being a room place where you can go and just sit and get quiet enough to tune into yourself and the deep inner knowing that exists within you as you listen to the wisdom of your own voice and focusing on the breath, which doesn't have to be any kind of a special breath, just the awareness of the rise and fall of the breath, allowing it to deepen naturally and taking a few moments together to be in that space. Placing hands together over the heart, slowly blinking the eyes open, turning, bringing that sense of wisdom and quiet forward.
Thank you. Yeah, so I know there are many women who, similar to you, have, whether it's the lifetime of experience, that breadth and depth of wisdom, like that, the picking up of the pieces, the morsels of the golden nuggets of our journeys along the way. And for you to say, like, now is the time.
Yes. Yes. And that's what got me to, we've worked together before when I was in Richmond doing women's speaking empowerment group, Women Speak, and other things, other things I've been aware of over the years about your work. But on my own, I wouldn't have gotten here. And I know you're not asking me to say that, but it's what's flowing through is that I've been around the edges of this for so long. And finally, I had to get over so many things and let go of so much to finally say, yes, I have this and it is the time. And there was something you said once, and I take such empowerment from these kinds of things that you mentioned, is that there are people waiting for my work. And it's true. And those are the things that help me press on through the discomfort with technology and other things that don't come naturally to me. They're not that easy for me. And all the posting and the different things and but it's time. There's definitely people out there. I can be of service, I can share, and I can help improve their, not me, but through the wisdom that comes through, their life quality can be improved, and in turn the people they are supporting can be helped. And it's like that with all of us. It's that kind of classic image of that pebble dropping in the pond and the ripples that come out. And from my work, there's so many women I can contribute to who will in turn help their communities, whether locally or online, when they are at their peak of wellness.
Yes, because that is such an important, vital aspect of, there's a lot of talk about abundance and kind of seeking abundance, but if we don't have our health, like our health is the foundation for that. It's the pillar for that. And even to just have like some small niggling thing that can't
A distraction.
Right, that keeps us from living in our greatest potential and being of the highest service and really showing up as the women we were born to be. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what is the best way for someone to connect with you or to even follow you?
They can find me on Facebook at Sandlin LAc. I have a Facebook page that has descriptions about my work.
Okay. And we'll put the link in the description below so they can just click on it. And that's the best. So for now, that's the best way. And I know you also have an Instagram account. We'll put the link there as well. So is there anything else that feels important to, like, that your inner wisdom would say, share this before we wrap it up?
I'm so grateful to be here at this moment.
Mm.
There's so much behind what it took to just be here right now. And the fact that I'm standing at the edge of the diving board and I'm so ready to share, just bursting with information, and so excited and grateful to bring forth and to contribute to people.
Yay. And I would also say to you, dear listener, that if there is a specific question, perhaps, or a topic that Lily could speak to, or that you're curious about, you know, whether it's the menopausal transition or other aspects of whether it's yoga or Eastern medicine, or even the death and dying process, that you just put it in the comments and we'll be sure that it reaches her. So thank you. It's been an honor and a delight, really, to see you claiming the fullness of what you bring, and to say, I'm ready to step out into the marketplace in a new way. It's been such an honor.
Me too. And I have so much gratitude.
Yay. All right. So we'll say goodbye for now. Until next time. Bye.